If you ask me, I want to buy a house that's not in a Chinese community, but still close to one, in a quiet neighborhood with convenient transportation, and can be bought for 1.5 million. Which area would I recommend? That would be Willis Hill, the #1 area for Chinese homeowners. Today, Yan Nan will give a comprehensive analysis of the real estate data in Willis Hill. I'm Yan, your home buying advisor in Melbourne. Housing affordability. The median house price in Willis Hill is 1.5 million, and the median household income is $2,400. Dividing house price by annual income, we get an affordability ratio of 12 times, which exceeds the 10 times threshold. But due to historical reasons, there are luxury homes in Willis Hill. Excluding these outliers, the affordability ratio is about 10 times, which is quite attractive. Melbourne's average affordability ratio is about 9.8 times. Next, let's look at the population to dwelling ratio. With a population of 20,000 and 8,000 homes, dividing them gives a population to dwelling ratio of 2.6 to 1. It exceeds the safety benchmark of 2.5, which means that housing supply can't keep up with the population. Looking further, the proportion of owner-occupiers is 47% plus 30%, that's 77%, which is close to 80%, a very high rate of owner occupancy. This means the community environment is definitely safer, since no one wants to bring their whole family to live in a bustling downtown area. Let's use some paid data to verify this. The proportion of tenants is only 13%, so the two sets of data basically match up. Moving on, here's a key point. Units account for only 3%, which means there are no high-density apartments or small-sized homes in that area, so there isn't a large supply to flood the market. In these mature blue-chip areas, price increases are predictably stable. So, over the past 10 years, the growth has been around 40%, which is far from meeting the target. So, when it comes to investment, Willis Hill probably wouldn't be my first choice. But if you look at this curve, after the pandemic, property prices in Melbourne overall declined, but this curve is rising and then leveling off, which shows that the housing prices here are supported by real demand. With interest rate cuts progressing and the return of owner-occupiers, I believe the curve for Willis Hill will be on an upward trend in the future. The vacancy rate is 1.4%. In the previous video, Yanan's fans also mentioned that it's really hard to rent out a property here. Let's look at the days on market. On average, it only takes 26 days for a property to go from being listed to being sold. This number is less than 30 days, which shows that the market is truly recovering. If you're planning to buy in Willis Hill, make sure you act fast. Let's calculate the rent-to-price ratio, 705 times 52 divided by 1.4 million, which is approximately 2.56%. This rent-to-price ratio is so low that passive investment doesn't make sense anymore. In other words, if you buy a property and rent it out just to collect rent and wait for it to appreciate, it's basically meaningless now. It simply doesn't give you any real return. And over the past year, rents have only increased by 3.7%, which hasn't reached the 5% safety benchmark. So based on the data, Willis Hill is not really a suitable area for investment. It's more appropriate for owner-occupiers, or at most for those who want to live there while preserving the value of their property. And most importantly, the location of this area is excellent. It's just a 5-minute drive to the Chinese community hub, Glen Waverley, and it also has its own Brandon Park shopping center. Moreover, the local Willis Hill Primary School has